Anointing of David, a video to fall asleep to. Part 1. A king no longer chosen. Good evening, dear listener. As you lie still, let your breath soften. Let the day fall behind you like a coat you no longer need to wear. Tonight, we step into a small part of a much bigger story. A quiet beginning. A moment that changed everything, but started in secret. This is the story of how a boy named David was chosen to be king. But it starts with a man named Samuel. Samuel was a prophet, a man who listened, who prayed, who often carried the weight of other people's choices, and he was grieving because the king Saul had turned away from God. His heart had grown proud, and God had told Samuel plainly, "I have rejected Saul as king." Now Samuel sat in sorrow, heavy, uncertain, still holding on to what had been. But God spoke again, gently. "How long will you grieve? Fill your horn with oil and go. I am sending you to Jesse of Bethlehem. I have chosen one of his sons to be king." Samuel listens. He stands, and he goes. Not with a crowd, not with trumpets, just with oil and obedience. Let that truth rest in you. Sometimes change begins not with strength, but with sorrow. And healing doesn't always wait for us to be ready. It asks us to move, even when the path is still quiet. Part 2. A visit to Bethlehem. Samuel approaches Bethlehem, a small town, stone homes, olive trees swaying in the wind. But when the elders see him, they grow uneasy. A prophet doesn't often come without reason, without warning. "Do you come in peace?" they ask. And Samuel nods. "Yes, in peace. I've come to make a sacrifice." He tells them to prepare, to make themselves clean. Then he calls for Jesse, a man with many sons. Samuel doesn't explain why. He simply invites them to the sacrifice. The sun is warm, the people gather, a meal is prepared, and the quiet hum of worship settles over the moment. Then Jesse brings out his sons, one by one. The first Eliab, tall, strong, with the kind of presence that fills a room. Samuel looks at him and thinks, "Surely this is the one." But God speaks softly to Samuel's heart. "Do not look at his appearance or his height. I have rejected him. People look at the outward things, but I look at the heart." One by one, Jesse brings out 7 sons, and each time Samuel listens, and each time God says, "No, not this one," until finally all the sons have passed. Samuel turns to Jesse. "Are these all the sons you have?" And Jesse shrugs. "They're still the youngest, but he's out tending the sheep." Let that truth stay with you. Sometimes the one meant for more isn't even in the room. Sometimes they're out doing the quiet work, unnoticed, uninvited, but not forgotten. Part 3. The youngest son arrives. The air is still. 7 sons have stood before Samuel, and none were chosen. But Jesse remembers. There is one more. He sends someone to fetch him. The youngest, out in the fields watching over sheep. And so they wait. Samuel, Jesse, the brothers. Until, from a distance, a boy appears. Not tall, not mighty, but sun-kissed, wind-blown, eyes clear, heart quiet. David. He walks with calm steps. The scent of grass and wool still clinging to him. He doesn't expect anything. He's just been called, and the moment Samuel sees him, God whispers, "This is the one. Rise and anoint him." Samuel steps forward, takes the flask of oil, and there, in front of his father and all his older brothers, he pours it gently on David's head. The oil runs down, slow and warm, a quiet crown. And from that moment, God's Spirit comes upon David. No trumpet sounds. No robe is placed on his shoulders. Just oil, just presence, just promise. Let that truth rest in you. Sometimes being chosen doesn't feel like a throne. It feels like oil on your hair, and a call you don't fully understand yet. You don't have to be the oldest, the loudest, the most seen. You just have to be willing. When God says, "This is the one." Part 4. A King in Waiting. The oil has been poured, the Spirit has come. But David, he doesn't go to a palace. He goes back to the fields, back to the sheep, the sun, the quiet. Because being chosen doesn't always change your surroundings. Sometimes it just changes your heart. He watches the flock, plays his harp, sings songs to the sky, to the God who saw him when no one else did. He learns patience, courage, gentleness. He fights off lions and bears with his bare hands, not to prove himself, but to protect what's his. And all the while something grows in him, not pride, not hurry, but trust. Meanwhile, King Saul, the one who still wears the crown, begins to feel troubled. His spirit is restless, his heart uneasy, and someone says, "There's a young man, he plays the harp, his music brings peace." And so David is called into the palace, not as king, not yet, but as a musician, to play, to soothe, to serve. Let that truth stay with you. You don't have to be seen to be prepared. You don't have to rush to be in motion. Sometimes God shapes kings in fields, not thrones, and the next step might look simple, but it's still sacred. Part 5. A Heart After God. David enters the palace, quiet, humble, just a shepherd boy with a harp. But when he plays, the room changes. Saul's heavy spirit lightens. The music soothes, not just the king, but everyone around. And no one knows, no one suspects that the boy playing in the corner has already been chosen to wear the very crown he now plays before. But David isn't in a hurry. He's not there to take. He's there to serve. Day by day, note by note, he learns the rhythm of the palace. Not with ambition, but with peace. And still, he returns to the fields, to the sheep, to the stars and songs. Because even after the oil, even after the anointing, he remains faithful in the small things. This is what makes David different. Not his strength, not his skill, not even the crown he hasn't yet worn. It's his heart, a heart that listens, that worships, that waits, a heart after God. Let that truth carry you into rest. You don't have to rush. You don't have to fight for the throne. You just have to stay close to the sheep, to the music, to the stillness. Because being called isn't always about doing more. Sometimes it's about being still long enough to hear the whisper that says, "This is who you are." Sleep now, dear listener. You are seen. You are chosen. And your story is still being written, quietly, beautifully, in the hands of the one who sees the heart.